We're leaving forever. How my 9-year-old son ended generations of silence. It was a quiet moment. Just a slice of birthday cake, some light laughter, and a few relatives checking their phones. Then Micah stood up, adjusted his little tie, and said, clear as day, "We're leaving. For good." The room went dead silent. He was looking straight at my mother, his grandmother, the same woman who'd spent years slicing me apart with sugar-coated insults. There were still candles smoking on the cake. My brother's laugh caught in his throat. My sister's phone froze mid-recording. And I just sat there. Still. Because I knew this moment wasn't just about him. It was about both of us. If you'd told me a year ago that my son would be the one to finally speak the truth in that house, the house I grew up in, the one where appearances mattered more than feelings, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have cried, maybe even laughed at the idea, because I'd spent my life trained to be silent, to smile tight and nod, to fold napkins perfectly and accept cruelty like it was love. But Micah hadn't learned those rules. Not yet. That morning, he walked into my room holding his blazer and dusty dress shoes and said, "Do you think I can dress up for Grandma's birthday?" I paused. "If you want a baby," I said. "But you don't have to impress anyone." He nodded. "Calm. I know. I just want to say something." I thought it would be a toast. A sweet little speech. Something innocent. Because Micah is sensitive, observant, kind. The kind of kid who notices when you're having a hard day and quietly draws you a picture or brings you tea. But now I understand. He didn't dress up to be cute. He dressed up to be taken seriously. When we walked into my mother's house, the air tightened like it always did. Vera, that's her name, barely glanced at me. Her eyes locked onto Micah. "Why'd you dress him up like that?" she scoffed. "Nobody cares how he looks." Micah didn't respond, just sat down quietly and folded his hands. "And me?" I smiled. Because that's what I'd always done. Kept the peace. Kept my mouth shut. Swallowed every insult like it was communion. But Micah, he watched. He listened. Every dig about my job, my parenting, how she'd raise him better. He caught them all. And then, after the cake was cut, he looked at me and whispered, "Can I say something?" I nodded. And that's when he stood up, straightened his tie, and looked my mother dead in the eye. "We're leaving. Forever." My hands were trembling, but I held Micah's tighter. The room was silent. Like someone had hit pause on the entire family. No one moved. No one spoke. Micah stood there in his too big suit, his little fists at his side, and for the first time in my life, I saw someone stand up to my mother and not flinch. She blinked at him, that strange frozen smile plastered across her face, and said, "Don't be silly, Micah. Sit down, eat your cake." "No," he said. Just that. One word. Firm. Solid. I looked around. Lenora's wine glass was frozen midair. Jonah's jaw hung open like he was still buffering. My father? Silent. Like always. And I felt something crack and fall away inside me. Fear, maybe. Or guilt. Or all those years of swallowing my words just to keep the peace. "We're not staying," I said. "Not this time." "Alara," Vera started, voice tight. "You're making a scene." "No, Mom," I said, my voice calm, louder than it should have been. Micah just made a statement. "There's a difference." We turned and walked toward the door. "You'll regret this," she called out. "The world won't be kind to him." I paused, turned halfway, looked her in the eye. "Then I'll teach him to be kind to himself. That's more than you ever taught me." Micah didn't look back. His hand was warm in mine. Strong. Like an anchor. When we got to the car, I buckled him in and got behind the wheel, staring at the steering wheel for a moment longer than I meant to. My son had just burned a bridge I'd spent decades tiptoeing across. "Did I ruin everything?" he asked softly. "You fixed something," I said. We drove home in silence, but it wasn't the awkward kind. It was peace. Real. Still, deep peace. And that night, after he fell asleep in his favorite pajamas and I sat alone on the couch with nothing but my own thoughts for company, I realized something. Micah didn't just give me a way out. He gave me back my voice. Micah's words hung in the air like smoke after a firecracker. "If you can't be kind to my mom, then we don't want to be here. We're leaving for good." The room froze. Vera didn't speak. Her usual sharp comebacks failed her. That half smile she wore started to falter, and for once, she didn't have control of the moment. My sister lowered her phone mid-recording. Jonas stared down at his plate like he was suddenly ashamed of the cake he'd been enjoying a second ago. And me? For the first time in years, I felt peace. Micah reached for my hand. Are we ready? He whispered. Yes, I said loud enough for everyone to hear. We are. There was no dramatic exit. No shouting. No slammed doors. Just a mother and her son, quietly reclaiming their lives. But as we reached the door, Vera called out. Cold, calculated, the same as always. Don't do this. You're going to regret raising him soft. The world doesn't care about his feelings. I turned to her, calm. I'm not raising him to be soft. I'm raising him to be kind, to be brave, to be better than what I grew up with. She didn't respond. She couldn't, because for once, her words didn't land. They bounced off something stronger, my son's courage and my choice to finally stand with him. Outside, the winter air hit us like a reset button. Micah squeezed my hand and asked, Did I mess everything up? I knelt beside him. You didn't mess up anything. You told the truth. That's brave. That's everything. And that night, over microwave mac and cheese, we didn't just have dinner. We had freedom. We had each other. We didn't just leave a party. We left a cycle.